Idea of an extraordinary life.
My idea of an extraordinary life.
Everybody, Chris Hogan and
Laurie Starkey.
we are back with you. This is the Extraordinary Life Project. And listen, we are very excited to come to you at this time of year to talk about something special. And guess what? We're going to talk about finding joy in the hustle. Oh, listen, there's a lot of business going on. There's a lot of hustle. There's a lot of office Christmas parties and family members and people coming in and out of town. And you're traveling to and from places. And we oftentimes can misplace our joy. But Laurie, okay, how do you define hustle?
I would define hustle as the busyness of the season, both positive and negative. And this time of the year, like you just mentioned, there's going to be a lot going on. All the different things that we could do during this time, as well as trying to keep up with work, trying to do year-end taxes, trying to close out for our employees. Like there's a lot of extra stuff that some of us have. So I think it'd be cool to kind of look at the hustle in different areas of our lives, like wherever we're walking. So to start with me, I'm in my early 40s. I have a couple of companies. We have a handful of employees that we love so much, and we have family that's kind of spread everywhere. So the hustle for us right now is, like I said, preparing for year end. It's trying to get all of the reviews and videos and all that fun stuff done so our staff can see what they did all year long. It's planning holiday parties. It's holiday parties with our church. We have a huge holiday party coming up in a couple of weeks, and there's about 45 of us that come out to my house. And so that big old party, it's traveling to Texas. It's doing all the family things too, and that's kind of like me in my early 40s. And then of course our kids are a little bit older, so it's not so much that, but the grandbabies, right? So it's still doing do the gingerbread house and go see the Christmas lights and go to church on Christmas Eve. It still has all those pieces, but I just don't have to be so integrated into all of it.
That's right.
What about you?
Well, I mean, it's crazy right now. I mean, especially for me at this stage in life, right, where I'm newly single. I've got my 3 boys. I've got family in Kentucky. I've got friends all over the place. And so you got people that are trying to come visit. And but at the same time, being able to spend time with the boys who are now teenagers, becoming little young adults. So that makes the Christmas process look totally different.
Absolutely.
Okay, they know what's the deal is with Santa, but making sure to spend time and am I present? And I think in the midst of the hustle for me, that's one of the things I'm trying to make sure that I'm helping them to understand, continuing to understand. It's not about what you get, it's who you got. And that's in your heart as well as in your life.
I feel like I should break out with a Christmas song.
Yeah, okay, don't start singing, please. Not for the people.
I love that so much. That is so precious to stay present in these moments. And as the transition happens, when you're present and self-aware, you transition with them.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's also talk about people. I'm going to bring up my daughter Katie a little bit. Her and I have been talking a lot. She's my oldest. She's 23 and she has 2 little ones. And so they are 2 and 1. So for those of us out there that have young families and are doing the Christmas things for the first time, that's what the hustle would look like. Like you have all the, can you bake 278 cookies for the daycare that your child goes to? You need 25 Christmas teacher gifts.
Teacher gifts. Like, oh my gosh. You remember those?
I actually made teacher gifts.
Yeah,
You knew that,
that's
right?
a lot.
So all of those hustle things too, plus your involvement in the community and the church and your jobs and your Christmas party at your jobs. It's funny thinking about over the years, the hustle for me, even though I'm getting older, has actually increased because we've become more involved in our community and we have friends now for the first time in a really long time. So the actual hustle piece, I'm looking at my calendar and it's like, okay, well, the Christmas party for this is this date and there's something else coming this date, but my mom needed me this last weekend to go to Texas to speak for a Christmas event. So all those things, I was like, you kind of have to start deciding which is the best use of my time. Which I think we're going to get into.
No,
but like,
we are.
You really do have multiple things competing for you.
Because you have to. Because as you think about that, in that hustle, whatever it is you don't do or whatever it is you say no to, there's always this risk. Hurting somebody's feelings, right? Feeling like you're letting somebody down. And I'm going to tell you something. We have to make choices. We've got to make a selection. And I want to talk about this because I want to define joy.
Yes, that would
all right,
be good.
as we look at this and kind of talk about it a little bit. But as I look at this, and I think happiness is by chance, right? It's something that happens to you, which really, Laurie, makes it an external factor.
That's right. And dependent upon sometimes other people and things.
And what they do.
That's
and
right.
you know, when you start depending on others for you to be happy,
Yep.
whoo, okay, that can set yourself up for failure,
Absolutely.
to be honest. And so looking at this, I want to explain happiness is by chance. It's about what happens to you if somebody does or doesn't do something. But looking at it and thinking a little bit differently, I want us to shift. I want us to seek joy. Because I think joy is more about your internal state of being.
Yes.
We have the opportunity to really go get it. You said something, I want you to explain it to the peeps. You said, you've got to excavate for joy. What do you mean by that?
Because I think joy is already, like we said, already inside of you. And and sometimes things can steal your joy. The busyness can suffocate your joy. And so you do have to go dig it back out, because here's what excavate means. It means to dig out, because whatever you're after is already there. It's just buried. And so don't forget that joy is something that we have inside of all of us, no matter how deep down it's gone.
I agree.
You just have to get it back. So the best part about that is that you don't have to go searching or seeking for it outside of yourself. Now, people and situations and circumstances can bring you joy.
Yes.
My children bring me joy. My grandchildren bring me lots of joy. But it's inside of you. You can already grab a hold of it.
Yeah.
And happiness is for sure by chance, and because it's dependent upon other people, we have no control over that. And so it's not about stealing your happiness. When someone takes that out of your heart, it's stealing your joy.
And that's important. And so the digging, I like it because it's like digging for a treasure.
Yes.
Right? And joy is a treasure. And so oftentimes I like that excavating, being able to dig up, getting some things out of the way so you can get that back in your hand. And I think that's something we have the capacity to be able to do. We just have to consciously choose it and to be able to find it. But when you get it, my friends, I want you to protect it. I want you to be able to hold it and be able to guard it, because especially this time of year, we don't want to get it twisted, right? You want to be able to look at this and understand, because we all know we're going to blink twice and we're going to be in the latter part of January. And so be present right where you are.
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about the fact that joy can be stolen. Happiness is just fleeting.
Yes.
Joy belongs to you. And not that someone can steal it completely, but they can certainly take a huge chunk of it away and you're like, I have nothing right now.
Yes.
And the hustle is well known to do that.
It really is.
So a conversation I had the other day with one of my kiddos was they're in the busyness of Christmas. And she was trying to decide, what am I going to cut out of this Christmas? And she came in raring, she was ready to go. She had her list of things. She's like, I'm slashing this and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And it's like, okay, well, hold on. Let's look at some of these things just to see, because cutting things out of your Christmas season is a good thing to do too if you have too much. Like,
absolutely,
you can
it is.
make room.
Yes.
Especially the things that deplete you. We talked about that.
Yes.
The things that lift you up, go do them.
Right.
The things that deplete you, please get rid of them. But she was ready to slash and keep going, grind and hustle with the things she had left. And one of the things she said she was going to slash was, she has this really special thing she does with my oldest granddaughter, and they do a little spa day at home, and it's a super sweet spa day. She gets a little robe, and the baby's only 2. She's 3 this year. So really, this is the first year that the baby would really understand what's happening. In the past, she was just like all over the place.
Right.
And Caitlin was trying to pull her back and let me massage your little baby toes, and we're going to paint, and just all the sweet, sweet memory things that you want for your kids. And Caitlin's like, I'm not going to do it this year. It's one of the things that I need, to take off. And I said, hey, exhale. Is this something that you enjoy doing? You catch the word joy? Is this something that brings you joy in life? Is this something that creates memories? And she was like, yes, like this is something I really love doing. And I said, this is the thing that doesn't ever go off the list then. As we're hustling and we're doing all these things, the things that don't steal your joy, those aren't the things that need to be taken off of our list. So,
that's true.
So let's talk about some of the things that do steal our joy. And maybe this might resonate.
It's real positive on some of these things, right? It's obvious. Some things that can steal your joy is, again, trying to do everything for everybody. And that, I'm going to tell you right now, is going to set you up for failure. It's impossible. And so being aware that you can't do everything for everybody, and guess what? You're not in charge of everybody.
Praise
and
God.
this is one of those things where, if you've got family all spread out, it's impossible to go see everybody on Christmas Day. You just can't do it. And so what do? You make a selection. So trying to do everything for everybody, that will do it. A lack of being aware, just going through the motions, not being intentional with your time as well as your presence, that can steal your joy. You can also have negative people. Okay, you got some people. Oh yeah,
Negative people in your family?
Yeah. So I mean, what you have to do. I'm joking. She's very positive, but as you're around it, we don't know what people are going through.
I know.
Everybody's got something going on, and so the main thing is as you are around those people, don't surrender your joy. What you want to do is give empathy, give understanding, give a listening ear. But the last thing you have to do is solve or fix. That doesn't put you in that realm. So being able to listen to somebody that's going through a tough time or in a bad spot, don't surrender your joy. Obviously, you want to be empathetic and pray for them and feel bad and understand where they are. But whenever we try to take it on ourselves to be the cure or to be the fix, that's going to set us up for failure.
Absolutely. Well, and it doesn't let them find the joy themselves. It's not like they can have yours. You have your own joy.
That's right.
You have your own joy inside of you. We had talked too, I want to touch on this. We had talked a little bit earlier about the fact that some of these joy stealers too, related to the hustle, could be in different areas of us.
Yeah.
So we talked about being physically busy, and we've done that so far. Talked about go, 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 go. But you talked about something that I want you to touch on too, was that you're not physically busy right now.
Yeah.
You're mentally
I'm
busy.
mentally busy.
So what does that mean, and what does it look like?
Really, for me, I can take the time to sit still, but mentally, my brain is going 125 miles an hour. And so what I can get caught up in is the busyness mentally. And so downshifting and selecting what it is I'm going to focus my time on.
Absolutely.
And so I'll very consciously and very proactively get a piece of paper and maybe write down the things I'm going to focus on right now. And I honestly put everything else, I call it the parking lot.
I love that.
Right, because it's got to get off my racetrack in my brain.
Absolutely.
And I've got to park it. But guess what? That's on me. Nobody's going to come in and save me from doing that. I've got to choose. And so I've really been working on that, being very intentional, because as I have my boys for the holidays, I want them to have their dad and being present to be with them.
Yes.
And so that's really important.
So for the mental aspect, maybe creating a parking lot. And guys, from a physical aspect, maybe really, if the hustle has gotten too much and you can't even breathe, and in the past you've done this to yourself, maybe one tactical thing that you could do, just a piece of great advice might be to make a list of all the things that you have coming up. Right? If you're physically going to be active, all the things you have coming up. And then beside that, just state whether this brings you life and energy, or if it sucks the life out of you and absolutely depletes you. That's a lot like Chris's mental, where you could even list out the things you're thinking about, and parking lot the things that either don't need to be thought about right now, because we can only live in the present.
That's right.
You can't do anything about the future, and the past has already happened. So if you parking lot those past and future events, maybe that just leaves you with this present moment to focus on.
Well, and I want to give them a tip. Okay,
Yes,
we're
yes.
family here, so I'm going to shoot you straight up. Some people naturally get caught off guard and they naturally say yes to stuff.
Yes.
Okay? See,
Yes.
you just did it.
Yes.
And so when it happens, so if somebody comes to you, texts you, or calls you and says, hey, we're doing X, Y, and Z, we'd love for you to come. Stop. Okay? What I want you to do is take a deep breath, and I want you to say this. Wow, that's interesting. Let me take a look at my calendar. That way you're not having to reply yes, right? Or having that text message sit there in the unread, staring at you, where you can't sleep because you feel like you got to respond. Hey, you slow down. And I want you to say, I got to check my calendar. What I want you to do is I want you to check in your mind, do you have the capacity to do it? In your heart, do you have the desire?
Yes.
And if you don't have the capacity and you don't have the desire, then you just honestly say, hey, thank you so much for the invitation, but things are really busy right now. Guess what? That's not offensive.
Nope.
That's not mean. It's just direct. So if you are a person that naturally says yes, and then you try to get out of it, right? Now you're creating drama for yourself.
I do this.
I want you to just say, let me check my calendar. You know what? Or if you're married, let me check with my spouse or really see what's going on. That way you can honestly give a reply and then you don't feel pre-committed to anything. I want you to have joy this holiday season. And the way to do that is to be aware, be in control,
be intentional.
Right? And be intentional.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, man, I love that. I laughed when you first said it because you've said that to me. When I've asked you to do something, you've said, let me check my calendar. So when you said it, I thought that is so funny.
Did I just give away my secret?
Well, you did, but you practice what you preach too. You do use that.
Right.
What a great way to pause during the season without harming or hurting anybody.
And I don't think people want to do that. I don't think people want to. I think we naturally.
That's why we say yes.
We want to please.
Yes.
And we want to be there. But at the same time, I think it's okay to have time to be there for yourself.
I agree. And man, what this does is it gives you the pause.
Yes.
Because like I just said a minute ago, there are several things in my life that are lots of yeses. Like I want to say yes to all three things that happened last weekend. So maybe the pause even gives me some time to not only not say yes to everything and everybody and have conflicts or cancel, but also to weigh. You know, sometimes you have to take what's good, like what's great versus what's good. And I say that all the time.
I like that. Well, a friend of
great.
mine gave me a candle. This says so much about this person knows me.
It's not me, is it?
No, it wasn't
Okay,
you.
it wasn't.
You've never given me anything.
Great.
I'm just playing. But listen, they gave me a candle and it says, I'm not antisocial, I'm socially selective.
Oh,
and I laughed at that because I am socially selective.
Yes,
I want to be intentional and I select what it is I do because I know sometimes self-care, the opportunity just to sit still for 15, 20 minutes, an hour, a weekend, whatever it is, it's important. And we have to do that. And I think when you're able to sit still, you can think back to those things that brought you joy or understand yourself a little bit better and be in more control.
I agree. And guess what? No one wants your half-ass effort.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
No one wants your quarter-ass or hundredth ass effort. They don't want that because if someone's invited you to something, especially to be in a leadership role or to play a part in the hosting of it, you know, I'm not trying to be ugly, but that's the truth of the matter. So feel the exhale that you don't need to be involved in that if you have too much going on and it lands on your good or not so good or man, I wish I didn't have to do this part of the list.
No, you're right.
Nobody needs you to show up and do that. And catch this. Just because you don't do it doesn't mean it's not going to be done. Someone else will step up. When I was young and in ministry, I would try to do everything. And I remember once my mother told me, she was like, every time you step into position to serve and you didn't want to, you take it from the person God intended to be in that position to serve. It was their heart. It's your duty.
Ooh.
And it's like, this is how Christmas is too. It's like, do the things that are your heart because that duty is someone else's heart. Give some space.
That's really wise because you don't want to steal someone else's blessing.
Absolutely, or their joy.
Or their joy.
That would have been their joy.
That's good.
And to me, it ain't so much. So let me ask you this.
All right.
How do we get joy back? Because it happens. It gets stolen. You know, and we find ourselves in a very pooty mood is the word we use around here, a very pooty mood. And then you turn into a Grinch. Like you slowly start to get to be a Grinch. You look in the mirror and you're like, man, it's December 22nd. I don't even like myself.
Yeah.
How do we get that joy back? Like what can we do to kind of recapture that? Or
you know what? That's a really good question. I think, you know, I've been through some stuff over the last few years where it's required me to intentionally not just excavate, but like dynamite, dig, call in a crew to get down to get the joy back
out to create some joy.
But I think one of the things you have to do is take a deep breath. You got to realize there are some things that are oftentimes beyond your control. There are some things we can control, and what I can control is kind of my attitude, my outlook, my responses.
Your response.
And so being aware of that, I think getting joy back is, I want you to think back to what it feels like to be joyful. How does joy feel? And I want you to choose to find some joy. Like right now, right where you are, even in the midst of if everybody around you is being negative, if everything around you is looking tough, I still want you to find some joy, whether that's joy in your health, whether it's joy for your friends, even if you've got one or two real ones, because there's a difference between an acquaintance and a friend. Don't get me started on that.
Let's do that
so
next
you
time.
find joy in that, and then you start to look around, and if it's for your kids or your grandkids, and you go, that's what that feels like. And you start to defend it. You start to protect yourself from the people that are trying to steal it or trying to influence it. And you go, no. You don't. This is a VIP zone. Right? My joy is a VIP zone. You don't get to just roll up in here and try to take it.
I love that. VIP zone. VIP zone. Oh, it just sounds like pizza. Now I'm hungry. Okay. Anyways, so it can be something small. It can be so small. So a friend of mine the other day, we were talking about pleasure, which is a little different than joy, but think about this. I'm going to push it to the joy side. Go on a joy scavenger hunt in your life. And it was pleasure for me, but go on a joy scavenger hunt in your life and find 10 things over the next week that bring you joy, but you have to pay attention. So like this morning I went out and I sat on what are those one of those really big wooden swings, and I just sat there. It's beautiful outside right now. It's kind of icy here. I sat there, and then my daughter came and sat beside me, and there was just a quiet moment of joy. And I can put that on my joy list as something that when life takes my joy, when the environment steals or doesn't give me happiness, I can go do simple things like that. So, but I need those things kind of locked into my brain. Like I'm not going to just, in the middle of being upset, remember, I should go sit on a swing in the woods with Katie.
Right.
So get yourself a list of 10 things. Go on a scavenger hunt in your life. Is it your morning coffee? They need to be, some can be great and big, but some can be really simple and accessible all the time. So is my morning coffee something that as I drink it and take that time for myself and sit wherever the place is that gives me peace, can I cultivate joy in some of those small things? 10 things. That's a challenge. Go get 10 things.
It is a challenge.
Make yourself a list on your phone so that when it happens, because it's going to happen where you start feeling tense and sweaty, and I'm going to punch the lady in front of me at the Walmart. Think about the idea of joy, of what you can go do to...
You need to settle down and stop drinking so much coffee.
Today.
You need to settle down.
I have had
but I do like that. I do like having the mindset of looking for it and being able to write it down just so you can remind yourself to go do that thing or take the time for that. Again, it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be outlandish. It's just really a state of being and a state of awareness. So I think that's really, really important. I want to also tell you this. You have to be careful and you have to protect yourself this time of year.
Mindset.
There are people out there that are extremely happy. I'm seeing a lot of people smiling right now, but also a lot of people hurting.
Yes, there are.
And hurt people hurt people. Let me say that again. Hurt people hurt people. And so what you have to do is be aware, and I want to kind of encourage you. I don't want you to avoid those people. I want you to bring your joy, bring your happy, but understand you're not going to immediately convert them, right? But I want them to have a positive experience of just being around you. It might give them some relief. Again, you don't need to know everybody's backstory to know what's going on in their world, but everybody's going through something.
Absolutely.
And so if you have that spirit of joy and just a smile, just the other day in the grocery store, this lady, I did not hit people. I don't do that. That's you. But the carts in the grocery store, you know how sometimes they can get stuck together?
Yes, I do.
And this little lady was trying to undo it. And I said, oh, ma'am, I didn't roll in like Clark Kent.
White horse.
I asked her, I said, ma'am, can I help you? She said, yes, sir. Would you please? And so I popped them apart and just smiled at her. She smiled, and it was literally like a happy and joyful exchange.
That's awesome.
She was grateful,
Moment of
and
humanity.
I was happy to help.
I love
Little
that so
things,
much.
little things, little pieces of awareness, and that was a positive interaction that kicked off my day early in the morning. That's a good thing.
Yes, I
right?
love it so much.
And so have that awareness, be aware of the things that you can do for you, and sometimes, as you've said, you've got to be ready to reframe the negative.
Yes, let me talk about that. So for the people that are feeling like a Grinch, because I've done that many a times too, I've been overwhelmed or I've had loss. We just lost a good friend a couple of days ago. There's some sadness around Christmas. Life doesn't stop because the holidays show up. And so as things happen, if you find yourself, and I think we're all self-aware enough to know if we're on the joy end or if we're on the I'm not so happy end of this. Sometimes the way to get out of that is reframing. So external to you, the traffic is terrible. External to you, there is a lot of people at Hobby Lobby right now. A lot of crazy, sweet Christian Hobby Lobby craft chicks. And it's crazy in there. But to reframe the negative would be to take a situation where you're like, there's so much traffic. This is terrible. I'm going to be an hour late. I'm getting more angry, and you're emotionally getting deeper and deeper into a hole over something you have no control over. If you can reframe it, even if it's not true, guys, even if it's just the poly, yay, we're happy. These people are all trying to get home to their families. These people are all trying to create a craft or a wreath to hang in their homes for their kids to enjoy, or in the nursing home for the older people to enjoy. Like, you just don't know what people are up to. So just pretend and expect and push the best that they could be doing as the answer in your reframing. So this is not something negative on me.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me. They're at Hobby Lobby to decorate their homes and the nursing homes and the churches and the children's ward at a hospital. You just don't know. So if you reframe it, I promise you, you will not want to punch the lady at the Hobby Lobby store. You will want to help her get out the door or help her with the car.
No, what you're doing is you're talking about giving people the benefit of the doubt.
That's right.
Right. Listen, I want to give you one tip, okay? Kind of a tip and trick for this holiday season. A couple of them. One, give yourself more time as you're traveling. You know it's busy, you know it's going to be crazy and hectic, so go 30 minutes earlier, 45 minutes earlier, or if you're out on the West Coast, 2 hours earlier. I mean, it's crazy. But another thing is, too, if you're traveling with kids, as you know, going to the airport this time of year can be crazy. Give yourself plenty of time. Give yourself plenty of travel time. And remember, it's not what time you arrive, it's that you arrive. So please be safe.
And take chocolate.
Plenty of chocolate.
Yes.
And don't let the kids drink too much. Fluids.
Hey guys, if you found value in this, we would love for you to give this a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that this is good content that they can share with other people. If there's someone you think would find value or that needs a boost in their joy, would you just share this video with them?
Come on.
Just share that video with them. And lastly, if you found value in it, I would love for you to subscribe. We are trying to build a community of people that want to move towards a better life together, and we want to be a loving, caring community that gives information and advice and shares stories, but that we're also vulnerable and that we care for one another.
Being real.
Yeah, and just being real. So if that's you and you want to be real with us, please subscribe. Lastly, I would love for you to drop us a comment below and let Chris and I know in this holiday season, what are some of the things that are bringing you joy right now?
Can you imagine the master list we'll be able to put together?
So good.
If everybody leaves, just what's something that brings you joy? I'm going to tell you, you sharing that, you may help somebody else remember, ooh, I love that. Like, for example, me, I love to laugh. Laughter
really?
I love it. And so I watch comedians. I listen to comedians.
You hang out with me?
And so please, if you would, leave us a comment down there below about what brings you joy. We would love to hear from you.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Be blessed, you all. Can't wait to see you soon.